Hello guys, and welcome to the tier list update for 5.17. It's gonna be a big one today. Like I mentioned in the last video, in the last stream as well, this tier list update is gonna be focused around not just balance based on the last patch, where we did get introduced to Golden Blade, and that's gonna be a big proponent of some of the movements on this tier list, but we're also gonna be moving the tier list around to recenter it around the A tier rather than around the A+ tier, which it's currently centered around. At the beginning of the season, and midway through the season when I did a brand new tier list as well, I said, you know what, having it balanced around the A+ tier, having a lot more A+ tier gods than A tier gods is a good thing. It shows signs of strength through a lot of the characters, and it shows, you know, that the game is in a pretty well-balanced state in terms of viability of picks. Now, I still feel that that is the case, but I just want it to be more balanced around A, because that's the central focus of a tier list. It's the, you know, it's there in the middle. So again, before we get started, just the regular disclaimers based around SPL and high-level Challenger Cup play. Also going to be taking consideration from Xbox very slightly, as well as the SMITE Global Series, but primarily focused around EU SMITE Pro League play. And list is 100% my opinion, based on high competitive. You feel free to disagree with it, feel free to agree with it, and discuss in chat or discuss down in the comments who you think should be higher, who you think should be lower, and why. You know, always got to give a reason. So, big load of notes over on my other screen. Let's get to it. First god to be moved up or down is actually going to be Freya. And Freya has been a cause of concern for a lot of pro games recently. Has been, you know, quite high in picks and bans. Has seen a hell of a lot of play. Don't mind me saying so myself, but no, she's going to be moved down, and she's going to be moved down to S-. I feel like she still offers good pressure. I still feel that she has potential to be picked, but her pressure isn't as valuable as it was before, with other gods being able to get pressure back from her. Her kill potential isn't 100% there, and with the most recent bug fix, she doesn't have as much sustain in the lane, therefore she's a bit more susceptible to be poked out. Still a fantastic pick overall, still has very little to no faults, but just doesn't have that 100% I'm going to win the lane guaranteed feel anymore. Two more movers from the S+ tier. This is a big shakeup as well. These two are based primarily on the fact that we don't see as much of them as possible, and I think a tiny bit of that's going to come down to Golden Blade being into the game as well. Of course, the two junglers, Serket and Erlong Shen, going to be moving down. Erlong Shen didn't see as much of him as I anticipated with the arrival of the Gladiator Shield, so he's going to be moving down, and Serket just isn't picked enough in the S+ tier to be warranted as a top pick, unless you're against Team Dignitas, in which case it still warrants that S+, maybe even SS tier standard. But as some characters fall out of S+, characters will move up into it. And Amaterasu, outside of Athena, the meta-defining support. In fact, one of the meta-defining characters. Because the amount of pressure that she's able to offer, the amount of utility she can bring, damage mitigation is part of her shield reflect, the control that she can bring. It's just absolutely insane. So, Amaterasu going to be moving up to the S+. These three gods, my opinion, and I think a lot of people will agree, top three gods in the game right now. Say Serket, Najjar, gonna be up there as well. Okay. Next up is gonna be Fafnir, and why is Alexa just constantly going off? Alexa, stop. Fafnir is going to be moving down to A+, simply based on pick ban rate and viability of supports above him. Gods like Sylvanas, gods like Amaterasu and Athena and Cerberus, they've been picked up a lot more than the Fafnir is, so just going to be moving down. Going to be joined by Hebo, moving down to the A+ tier. Haven't seen as much play of the Hebo recently, and with Golden Blade coming into the meta, and coming into builds, his one-shot ability of camps just isn't as valuable anymore. And you're seeing his early game nerf that happened a fair few patches ago starting to take effect now. People aren't picking him for the pressure because he just doesn't offer as much as he used to in the past. He's still a safe pick, still a fantastic pick to just blow people up in the mid and late game, but his early game just a tiny bit weaker, and that's stifling him a lot with the Golden Blade coming into the meta. Ratatoskr. This is a big move. Ratatoskr, I feel his early game is now completely balanced. I feel his ult being on a 110-second cooldown, scaling down to 90, is a big factor in what makes him strong and what makes him, balanced at this point. I honestly think Ratatoskr is down in 80 now. Like, that ult being on a 90-second cooldown was huge for him. Yes, he can still outpress you in the early game, but 110 seconds to rotate over to fights, that extra 20 seconds really does pay big effect to trying to deal with a Ratatoskr. If you force it off early, that's a huge difference. And what's more, he's not really able to go ahead and solo invade camps anymore. People are grouping up with their mid laners and junglers. People are grouping up with the supports. They're making sure they take down camps as 2, maybe even 3 people most of the time. Ratatoskr just can't deal with that. Even if he gets his Acorn online first, he just can't go and take down the camp and invade you. You're going to be there, you're going to fight him, and he's going to have his ult forced, and it's not going to, make him that much better. And that's going to do it for your S tier movers. Might be gods moving into the S tier, but outside of gods moving out of it, that is going to do it for that. Now, I'm going to do a big sweeping change of movements here. These ones are based primarily on the fact that we don't see them in picks and pans anymore. I still feel that their kits are strong, they offer viability, and we can still see them picked up occasionally, but I feel that these gods are the ones in S tier that just should be moved down slightly due to rebalancing of the tier list and the fact that we don't see them in picks and pans all that much. So, next few gods are Hachiman. They're all moving down to A+, by the way. So, Hachiman's moving down. Honbats is moving down. Medusa is moving down. Ulla is moving down. Thoth is moving down, and Artemis is moving down. All of them still completely fine in the meta, still fantastic picks to be taking up, just we haven't seen them as much as we would like to. Some of them due to meta shifts, in the case of Artemis, with dual lane being a lot more focused on right now. Gods like Thoth just haven't been able to really find their place in the meta still after the most recent nerf. Whilst gods like Honbats just, they're not going to be as viable with the Golden Blade as other characters. So just a few bunch of move downs there, just to sweep them out of the way. A couple more are going to be moving down, but they're going to be moving down for different reasons. They're going to be moving down a bit further. That's going to be Hercules and Ra. Hercules and Ra moving down to the A tier. Again, based on the fact that we don't see them in picks and bans as often as we probably should, given that their kits are absolutely fantastic. You have movement speed on the Ra, big damaging ultimate that's on a super low cooldown, heal with protections on it. It just doesn't offer the pressure. And Hercules, pretty much the same thing with him. Good movement, good displacement ability, fantastic passive for fighting in the early game, and a good CC win ultimate. Just doesn't... You really rely on hitting on that combo. And with anti-heal being as prevalent as it is, that's sort of one of the reasons you're just not seeing them as often as you really should be. So they're going to be moving down due to anti-heal and due to the fact that, they're just not picked in the meta at all. One more character moving out of the S- tier, going to be joining Ra and Hercules in that A tier, and that's going to be the Zhonghui. Again, been hit a tiny bit by the prevalence of anti-heal, but the big reason that he's moved down all this way and had this massive fall from grace from the summer split, despite the fact that he's, still the same character and still the same god, but he hasn't had this, replacement for Warrior's Blessing, like pretty much every other god that's still in the meta has done. You have gods like Bellona, gods like Osiris, gods like Gong Shen, who have been able to get Berserker Shield instead. You've got gods like Cullen who've gone straight into a Shifted Shield. Mages, they've gone for Book of Dothrush if they're a healer. They've gone for Mage's Blessing if they really want to, like a Baron. They've gone for Guardian's Blessing if they're a Guardian or want to play defensive. Zhonghui just doesn't fit into any of those, really. He doesn't want to play defensive, he wants to play aggressive, wants to poke you out, and wants to heal up, and he can't find a replacement for Warrior's Blessing. And with the state it's in right now, he's not going to be picked. Onto the A+ tier, and this is where we're going to see a big amount of movement. Look how big that chunky block is right now. Yikes. It's going to be trimmed down quite a bit. Let's see how many gods we have moving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. 14 gods are going to be moving out of the A+ tier. So, without further ado, let's get started. Guan Yu moving down to A-. No reason to pick a god with slow, delayed clear in this meta. He just takes too long to do what he wants to do. His abilities are channeled. His ultimate, while providing a good slow, again, is channeled. His heal is minuscule, and just with the amount of anti-heal in the game, he's not really going to get a lot of use out of it. Just overall, not that much utility coming out of the Guan Yu when he really should be having it. I still think he's a great pick. I still think he has its viabilities. The protection shred that you get from Tallow Assault is massive. And if you're looking to take down and focus down a frontliner, Athena plus Guan Yu combination will just allow you to do that. You could go Cerberus Guan Yu and just put true damage into him in the early and mid game. That's how good that protection shred is. But it just takes so long to go off. It just takes so long to actually get the full effect and then to follow up off of it. It's very difficult considering it's not slowing them down, it's not stunning them. It's just take away protection so they're free to move, they're free to jump away as they regularly would. Alright, and this is going to be the biggest change up that we're going to see of the tier list. Achilles, down to A. Ares, down to A. Daji, down to A. Kumbhakana, down to A. Nike, down to A tier. Nuwa, down to A tier. Susano, down to A tier. Vulcan, going to be joining them in A tier. Discordia, also moving down to A tier. Kronos, moving down to A tier. All of these based off of pick ban rates, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. I think these gods are perfectly balanced. I think that these gods don't need changes to make them viable into the meta. I don't think they need changes to take them out of viability. You just see them pop up every now and then because their kits are good. They've got well-defined roles in the game. They've good push in the case of Noir and Vulcan. They've got good poke in the case of Discordia. They have got good ability to carry in the late game in the case of Kronos. Ares and Kumbha, good third-tier support picks, especially as counter picks if you're going up against auto-attack based lineup with Kumbhakana, or if you're going up against all of dashes and leaps in the case of Ares. And then Daji suffers a bit in the early game because she can get bullied out quite easily, but does bring good control to the team fights in the mid and late game, which is where you do see her start to shine. Hades, also going to be moving, but going to be moving down to A-, joining his buddy Guan Yu. Main reason for this is prevalence of anti-heal and his all-round safety in lane. Again, he's one who's struggling to find his place in the meta after the removal of Warrior's Blessing. Again, you can probably get away with going Mage's Blessing on him if you really wanted to, going straight into a Lono's Mask, but he's just a sitting duck too much. At this point, I think Hades just needs something else to happen with him. I don't think he needs a rekit. I think his kit's fine. I just think the kit needs to offer something more for him to really be, a viable pick in the meta. You have to combo his ult with another ult for it to be really effective and really something worth picking. And you have to play him in solo, and he just gets bullied out by a lot of displacement in solo. You think of gods like Kuzumbo, you think of gods like Hercules, you think of gods like Tyr. He just can't be picked into those gods at all. Gods like Osiris, gods like Erling Shen, god like Bellona, they're just going to fight him. The second he dashes his wave or fears a wave, boom, they're just going to fight him. And there's not much he can do to stop it. He can't fight back at all, and that's his main problem, is the fact that he can't fight back in lane. Xbalanque is going to be the next one. He's going to move down to the A- tier. Big reason for this is his early game just isn't as strong as it really could be, and I would pick gods like Neith and Apollo over him every day of the week. So, spoiler alert, Apollo is going to be moving. Final change, because that's change number 13. Final change is change number 14, and it's going to be Bakasura, moving up to the S- tier. Strong god right now in terms of the picks and bans and in terms of how meta-defining he is. Just build as much movement speed on him as you can. Go Hazen Katana, go... You can even go Golden Blade if you really wanted to. I wouldn't really recommend it, but it just helps us clear out even more. Let's go Stone Cutting Sword, go Atalantis Bow, go Boots, and you have fucking racing. There's literally no stopping you. Like 650 movement speed with your passive and just fucking flying around the map. It's insane. That's going to do it for your changes to the A+ tier. A, few picks going to be moving up and down around here. A Wheelix moving down to A-, only really seen as a counter pick in the current meta. But I still feel like she can be picked up with gods that have knockups on your side of the team. Gods like Geb, gods like Kuzumbo you can pick them with. Gods like Poseidon you could potentially pick with as well. Gods like Wukong on her. Apollo ult even does it now. Apollo, the moves also does it. There's a fair bit of opportunity to combo with a Wheelix, which is why she's not being put in B tier, which is just purely for a counter pick sort of scenario. But she still needs to have the draft somewhat done around her for her to be a viable and strong pick. God's going to be moving out of A tier due to pick and ban rates are going to be as follows. Bacchus going to be moving down to A-. Kali down to A-. Kukulkan going to be joining them down in A-. Scylla also, and one more god is going to be Ganesh, all joining them down in A-. Haven't seen them as much as we really should be for gods that are in the A tier. I think Kali has the biggest potential out of all 5 of them to be moving back up the tier list due to Golden Blade. But that's, again, just a bit more of a pipe dream. 3 more gods going to be moving up out of A tier. And these because they really have been shown to be more meta-defining than they really should be in the A tier. So they're going to be moving a slight bit up to A+. Considering they still have their faults, they still have their safety problems, and they still have the ability to be put behind and just dove upon consistently. Zeus and Arpoash are the 2 which I'm talking about, going to be moving up to A+. Odin's going to be the other one moving up. Just seeing a bit more of a resurgence with those burst-heavy, immobile mages in the mid lane, as well as more healers being picked up in general. We saw Deathwalker play Hell, we saw some good self-sustained gods like Terra, Chaga being picked up a bit more as well. Sobek can't really get out of the cage. Mercury being another prevalent pick. There's gods that need that sort of freedom of movement, and Odin just shuts those down a bit more easily than any other god in the game. A- tier. As I did say, Apollo is going to be moving up to A due to a recent resurgence of play, and the fact that he is a fantastic pickup against the Chernobog. You just follow his rotations, or you can just keep split pushing yourself, and the Chernobog has to commit to one of the 2. You can sort of fake going over to a fight and then come back over and split push if the fight's going well and they've won it already, or you continue to rotate over to the fight, and then by the time you get there, Chernobog's damage mitigation is gone. You can start to fight him and probably just kill him at that point. This is a move I've wanted to do for such a long time, and I finally get to do it. Kuzumbo going to be moving up. My boy. He's starting to prove himself as a pick in lane, and I enjoy that. I enjoy seeing Kuzumbo. One of the big reasons for this is because his shell spikes now reduce the cooldown of his sumo slam. It's been done for a while, but teams are starting to figure out how to play with him and to play around him in lane. And as I've said for the longest time, he has the best zone potential out of any god in the game. And we're finally starting to see it. He's just consistently... felt like my door opened there. That's how violent that shake was. But we're finally starting to see him be picked up. We're finally starting to see him being used for that zone potential. We're finally to see him because double hunters are starting to creep their way back around into the meta, and he's one of the best gods at dealing with that. 2 more moves going to be done, and then that's going to be the tier list update over and done with. It's going to be 2 gods basically swapping around in their position. Both of them are hunters. Chiron going to be moving up, and Skadi going to be moving down. Shifts some pressure from both of them. Chiron recently got a buff, which allows him to be played a bit more often, not just as a cleanse bot, but we have been seeing him as a good counterpick to gods like Athena, gods like Nox, because he just cleanses away their CC, and you can then just walk away. And Skadi, her pressure just isn't as widespread as it could be. She's very easily dealt with in the early game. Really reliant on Calder still. She still has good poke, she still has good control over the lane if she gets it, and can be an absolute menace with her movement speed. But she's just a bit too easy to deal with the lockdown gods which are being played right now. Gods like Amaterasu, gods like Athena, gods like Odin just really stifle our ability to play the game. And as you can see, it's still not 100% balanced around A tier. We do have a bit more in the S- than we do in the B, but a lot more balanced around the A tier than it was before. I almost missed her. LA. I've been torn about Pele. I've been really torn about where to put Pele. And on one hand, the fact that she can play in multiple roles is a big boon to her picks and bans. She's been quite highly valued by certain teams, which is a good indicator of being placed high up the list. But other teams have completely ignored her. Most of the sets we've seen in the SPL, she's been completely ignored. And I've come to the conclusion that I think she's going to be in the A+ tier. Got good control, good amount of damage when she is played, good movement speed and good chase down ability in fights. But she just isn't picked as much as she should be. Is the simple reason that we're just not seeing her higher. Her burst is good, but yeah, I honestly can't really think of a reason that we're not seeing as much Pele as we should. Maybe because her damage is not as confirmable as other gods would be. Bakasura, you're basically guaranteed to hit with AoE basics, whilst with Pele, your first ability you're not exactly guaranteed to hit. I don't know. But Pele, right now, due to picks and bans, and due to prevalence in certain games and by certain teams and not others, puts her in the A+ tier. And yeah, about 20 minutes worth of a tier list update there, just balancing gods around the A tier rather than the A+. Hope you guys enjoyed that one, and yeah, we'll see you in the next tier list update on the YouTubes in about a couple weeks' time. Peace!